Hello everyone and welcome to the third and final part of Alta's Insider's Guide. If you haven't already, watch part B about the other side of the mountain, and part A for some general information. Today, we're discussing the left side of the trail map, including everything from Sugarloaf down the left side of this ridge. This side is called the Albion side. And so with that, let's begin. An Insider's Guide to Ski Resorts, Alta, Part 3, Albion and Sugarloaf. As I just said, this area is called the Albion area. The Albion base here has these two chairlifts stemming from it, the Sunnyside High-Speed Triple and the homonymous Albion Double. Bet you didn't think you were learning vocabulary in this video. The pod served by these two lifts is pretty much the only substantial beginner and low intermediate terrain area anywhere in Little Cottonwood Canyon. Albion had not been running any of the times I went to Alta, so I'm actually unsure if you can get to these runs like Dipsy Doodle from Albion. I think you can, but don't quote me on that. These two greens, Crooked Mile and Patsy Marley, are nice greens. Dipsy Doodle, Sugar Way, and Sunnyside are short little connections that will get you to the Sugarloaf chairlift or to Home Run. Over the river is your connection to the Supreme chairlift. If you're trying to get to Supreme, you must take Over the River, or you will end up hiking uphill. Over the River is a tad flat, but it's nothing compared to what you'd have to do if you took Dipsy Doodle. The upper section of Home Run, from Sugarloaf to about where it hits Crooked Mile, is a little bit of a road. It can also get busy from people coming from Supreme and Sugarloaf who are going to the transfer toe. If you're going to lap this area, I would suggest Crooked Mile and Patsy Marley. Coming off of Sunnyside, if you do an about face and ski right back down under the lift, you can access these three runs: Vale Ridge, Race Hill, and Bluebell. The Race Hill Bluebell area is mostly just an open meadow for you to ski down. There's usually a groomed strip if you want to stick to that. This is some of the lower level intermediate terrain at Alta. Facing down the ridge, anything to the right is considered Vale Ridge. There are typically a few gates where you can access the whole area to ski down from the ridge to Patsy Marley. I've found that Sunnyside gets much more busy than these other two on-mountain lifts, Supreme and Sugarloaf. If you can ski blues, I would highly recommend lapping Sugarloaf for Supreme and not Sunnyside. If you're lapping the Sunnyside pod and the Albion lift is open, I would recommend taking that. Alta is planning to replace both Albion and Sunnyside with a single detachable 6-place chairlift this coming summer. So if you're watching this in the 2022-23 winter or beyond, you most likely won't have to worry about this whole section about the lifts. Like was already stated, you must take the run over the river to get to Supreme. This run will be straight ahead coming off of Sunnyside. Supreme is a really unique lift. It is a high-speed quad that has an 8.1 degree turn to avoid property that Alta does not own. The two main blue runs off Supreme are these two, Big Dipper and Rock and Roll. To get to those, you'll push along just a touch of a road right here, and then drop down a bowl of sorts. At the bottom, you can go right on Big Dipper or left on Rock and Roll. The lower parts of both of these runs are a bit of a runout. Keep up a touch of speed at the end. This blue Three Bears is a bit of a road. These three blacks between the lift and the blues are just normal ungroomed blacks. To the left of the lift here are two areas. The Supreme Bowl and Catherine's area, when open, are pretty much just an open terrain area where you can ski wherever. You'll enter through a gate, but then you're pretty much free to find yourself a cliff, trees, or bumps as you please. In the future, Alta will widen and regrade some trails to increase the number of groomed blues off Supreme. Sugarloaf is the other high-speed quad you can access from Sunnyside. As I said before, I would highly recommend lapping Sugarloaf and Supreme instead of Sunnyside if you can. The EBT here stands for East Baldy Traverse. As the name implies, it is quite flat. If you don't want to ski back down and grab the transfer toe, this is how you get to the Wildcat area from the Albion side. This is also the main gate to Snowbird. If you watched the previous video on Alta, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, go check it out. Alta is planning to add a new lift named Flora from the bottom of Sugar Bowl to the top of Collins in the coming years. This will replace the East Baldy Traverse. Devil's Elbow is a nice groomed run. Roller Coaster is groomed less often and is narrower and steeper, but still nothing crazy. Amen, Extrovert, and Chartreuse are traditional black mogul runs. Sugar Bowl and Gravy Boat are sometimes groomed. You can take these straight down the face under the top of Sugarloaf to access Devil's Elbow. If you want to stay on a shallower slope, Go across the traverse about 100 yards, and then drop down. Devil's Way is the access slope from Collins to get to Devil's Elbow. This castle terrain in between is Hike 2 from Sugarloaf and Supreme. It is generally just open, bowl-esque terrain for you to pick and choose your route. The same goes for this backside area with all of the Greeley Bowl terrain. And with that, we're just about done with Alta. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Please leave any questions down in the comments. Stay tuned for more Insider's Guides. All my love, I'm out.